Hello everyone and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. It's Andy and today we're going to talk about Dhukk the Pierced. Hi guys, so I just wanted to add a clip at the start of this video because as you watch on I will talk Dhukk up in many areas, and I do think he's a great champion. I've had some great success with him in all of the areas of the game at my current level. However, as you watch the video, you'll see that things didn't exactly go to plan in the arena. And to be honest, I think that's because Mountain King and Skull Crusher, who are two of my main arena team champions, are just so much better than they should be for my level in the game and for the gear that I've got. So they carry me in arena very heavily. So anyway, with that said, hopefully that'll tone down some of the praise I give to Dhukk when we're assessing his kit, and we can get on with the video. What a champion this is, guys. He is basically Stag Knight in disguise, and what a disguise it is. It's a far cry from the pristine White Knight of Stag Knight, but I refer to Stag Knight because it's essentially what his kit does. So for Stag Knight on the A1 you have a 2-hitter which Dhukk replicates. He's got the 2-hitter there. And for Stag Knight it's a speed reduction, which is a pretty good debuff. But for Dhukk the Pierced we have decrease accuracy, which can be very useful in other areas, particularly against bosses like Dragon, the Ice Golem in particular, to try and stop some of those frozen stacks coming on. A little bit on the Fire Knight, not so much because obviously you can't place it, but obviously the Fire Knight puts those decreased speed debuffs on you as well. So decreased accuracy can help to prevent all of those debuffs if it gets on and if it's done correctly. Again, an important thing to note for Dhukk is that he is defense based. Another difference from Stag Knight here, of course, who is attack based, but Dhukk the Pierced defense based, which means he should be easier to build, to do damage and to stay alive. So a nice feature there for a defense / support hero. So you can see here I've managed to book Dhukk. That's going to get tricky. To book Dhukk completely, and you can see on his kit he's got attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns, also has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decrease defense debuff for 2 turns on each critical hit. So each critical hit there, you know instantly that you need to build his crit rate high. Other than that, it's essentially Stag Knight's Huntsman ability. Again, defense-based damage. And when it's booked, it goes up to a 100% chance, depending on those crit hits, of course, on a 3-turn cooldown. So the third ability, and this is what people were unsure about with Dhukk, and I'll talk about this in more detail in a moment. But his third ability is places a provoke debuff for 1 turn on the target enemy, also has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn on 2 random enemies. This can be very nice in arena because you can get 3 out of the 4 members on the team, 75% of the time, provoked to Dhukk, who when he does this ability places a 30% reflect damage buff on himself for 2 turns and an unkillable buff for 1 turn. So instantly you're directing damage to one of your champions who, at least for 1 turn, cannot die. I like to use him in arena. We'll look at that in a moment. His aura is faction crypt specific, so obviously he can be of some use to you in the Orc faction crypts, but that one's up for you. You can see I'm starting to build his mastery tree, obviously going down the accuracy route with the one tree, and then down the crit rate, crit damage route, and just general boss damage on the other. I'm probably going to end this guy's mastery out on War Master, just to get that additional boss damage when I am trying to fight through the dungeons. Artifacts. I've not got the best artifacts on this account, and therefore not got the best artifacts on Dhukk himself, but you can see here that I've managed to build his crit rate up to 99%, not 100, but it's as close as I can get right now. Minimal crit damage increase, but stacking that defense as high as I can, whilst also getting some decent accuracy in there. Again, for those that haven't watched my previous videos and that don't know me, I don't have a mega endgame account. I'm not on level 20 on any of the dungeons. I do these videos mainly because there are loads of guys out there who are on level 20 who do have god tier gear, and I just want to show you these champions from a different perspective, from an early game to mid game perspective, albeit on this occasion I've got the books in, which some of the early to mid game players out there may not be able to do. Okay, so let's look at Dhukk in the arena first. I always like to start with the arena. It's a nice quick way to get a feel for these champions. Unfortunately, he can be a little susceptible to death, but we'll see how he gets on. Let's choose this team. They've got more power than us, some really nice champions, but we've got Dhukk, Skull Crusher, Mountain King, and Skytouch Shaman. So that's my arena team. That's the team I like to run with. Hopefully Dhukk will get to do something. You see there the synergy with Mountain King and Skull Crusher. It's a lethal combination, although it's not good when you've got a ghastly moan coming on all the time. I'm probably just going to cut this out and try again, because that's a lot of fears and basically we didn't get to do anything. So as you can see, Dhukk is really good in arena. My team isn't carried by Mountain King and Skull Crusher at all, though my Dhukk is primarily aimed at dungeon PvE content anyway. And as you can see, my arena team is purely based off Mountain King being able to kill the vast majority of teams on his own. So we'll move swiftly onwards from that slight embarrassment. I do have Dhukk in my clan boss team, as he's one of my most powerful champions. But you can see there we've got 6.46 million on normal, doing Dhukk, Skull Crusher, Mountain King, Kale, Skytouched. So on to the more important areas. We'll start with Fire Knight's Castle, and you can see here that I'm on stage 13, so I can start to progress and try and farm 4 to 6 star gear on Fire Knight. So you can see here I've got Coldheart in there, who is one of the best champions in the game for this dungeon. I've got Fang Cleric because he is one of my only revivers. Skytouch Shaman for the healing. Dhukk is in there, and Skull Crusher. So let's give it a go. Now, one of the issues for Dhukk in here is that once we reach the boss, he will frequently do his Provoke, which obviously does not work on the boss, and Unkillable, which is pointless against the boss in most scenarios as well. When he does that Provoke, don't forget he also places that Reflect damage debuff, which actually counts as a hit when the boss attacks. So even though it's only one hit, so when he casts the ability it will take one stack of the shield from the Fire Knight, you have to remember that on the next turn he's going to take another stack because it sits there for 2 turns, and then he's going to do his A1. So on the next turn it becomes a 3 hit, or certainly 3 stacks off that shield, which is actually quite good for Fire Knight. It allows you to stack up those hits into one round, which is what you really need to get that shield down. And then obviously my team isn't brilliant at it, but you've got someone like Coldheart, maybe you've got an Armiger in here, who will then keep the turn meter low for the boss, and that shield won't go up again. So if you're having trouble getting the shield down, Dhukk may actually help you with that more than a Stag Knight would. My main issue with Dhukk in this dungeon, and it's something that Plarium needs to fix, is that he will also use his A2, his single hitter, on the shield, which is a waste of a turn and a waste of the debuffs, because obviously the debuffs won't stack when the shield is up. So that there is the worst time for him to use the unkillable ability. He's using the unkillable ability while the shield is down, rather than placing his debuffs, which he then pumps into the shield, which is just terrible. When it lines up correctly, so we've just got the decrease accuracy there. I mean, we've got block debuffs on already, but the decrease accuracy, if the block debuffs wasn't there, would help us. But yeah, his AI is a little weak on the Fire Knight. It will take you some time for the abilities to line up properly, and that's why you need good defensive heroes if you're going to run Dhukk. Again, unkillable while the shield is down. It's just not helpful to the kill in any way, shape or form. If they fix that and he does his A1, you see there he's finally put his A2 onto the Fire Knight while the shield is down. So we now have decrease attack and decrease defense. Brilliant. That's what we want him to be doing. Coldheart, of course, is continuously putting those decrease healing debuffs on him. Nice Heartseeker there while the shield is down to keep it down. And otherwise, Dhukk is just doing work. Unless they fix the AI, he will have to come out of my team eventually. If I got a Stag Knight, for example, I would have to replace him, because in the Fire Knight dungeon, Stag Knight is simply better because he doesn't pump his A2 into the shield, or at least I don't think he does. And that is an unforgivable AI flaw. It's like Coldheart used to put her Heartseeker, the big cooldown reduction or turn meter reduction, she used to put that into the shield, which was a massive waste. And to do the unkillable taunt while the shield is down as well is just a terrible waste of a turn. As you can see, my team should still have enough to go through and kill this, but Dhukk's AI makes him so much worse in this dungeon than he should be. So, feasible, yes. Good, not until the AI changes. Potential is there for sure. He could be fantastic on that boss. But as he is now, he's not your best option. He's my best option because my champion pool, certainly my level 60 champion pool, is somewhat limited. But against the Fire Knight, there's far too many examples of him using the wrong ability at the wrong time. Dragon, again, you can see that I've managed to go through and get the level 13 done. So let's give Dhukk a chance here. Again, he's in my team, he's one of my strongest champions, and he is very good in a lot of these dungeons. On this one, you can see I've also got Lodric Falconheart, who I've done a video on recently. Skytouch Shaman for those extra heals. Skullcrusher, again, he's in all of my teams just for the massive damage that you can get out of his counter attack, and his ally protection just helps everyone stay alive as well. and then Mountain King just to do those big chunks of damage when you are on the dragon at the end. So straight away there, Dhukk gets his debuffs out on almost everybody. Probably about 1% missing crit rate that stopped the decreased defense going on the last enemy. So there's the provoke going on nice there from Dhukk. Helps you get through the waves at the very least, and it does that on Fire Knight too, to be fair. Just helps to spread that damage out if they're focusing one enemy in particular, or one of your champions in particular. Dhukk will just put that taunt out there and take some of the damage. So here's the first Dragon Breath, and we're going to get a Lodric shield to help us through that one. So you see there, he's not even broken the shield. And that's a level 50 Lodric. He is fully booked, but again, his gear is similar to Dhukk. It's not the best. I'm working on my gear at the moment. And I like to show that. I like to show what these champions do with gear for someone in my position. So we see there the ally protection from Skull Crusher. It's just helping spread that damage around. Decrease accuracy, that should help us keep those poison buffs off. So that's what I was talking about with the decrease accuracy there. We had decreased debuffs anyway. But if you don't have a block debuffs champion, that decrease accuracy will help you avoid some of the stacks that the dragon is trying to put on your champions. And you can see there he's doing decent damage compared to the rest of my team. You can see the damage he's doing. It is pretty high compared to the rest of my champions in the gear that I'm able to put on these guys. In better gear, obviously he's going to do far better numbers. Lastly, we'll just go into Spider's Lair, another place where I do use Dhukk. This is the 4 to 5 star artifact from the Spider. I can't do it 100% of the time, so this may fail, but usually with the attack all enemies of Kale, the attack all enemies of Dhukk, and the high single target attacks from Mountain King, it can just about see me through this. And one of the big benefits from Dhukk here is that decrease attack debuff he's putting on the Spider and the decreased defense. So there's Dhukk placing that decreased attack again. Remember, the decreased attack does not require the crit rate, but the decreased defense does. So that 1% missing crit rate hurting me there again. You see there, as I was saying, my team are not 100% consistent on this. I do lose pretty much everyone except Mountain King and Kale by the end of this. But 90% of the time, there's just enough damage to kill the thing before it kills us. And there it is. So there's the kill. You can see Dhukk's done a nice 401,000 damage there. More than the Mountain King, although obviously Dhukk's doing a lot of damage to spiders. Nothing compared to Kale, who is again in fairly similar gear, but Kale is not bringing the decrease attack and decrease defense. So Dhukk, in summary, is a strong champion. They really need to work on his AI, because Fire Knight should be one of his strongest areas and it's not. But overall, a really nice champion, and any champion that brings decreased attack and decreased defense in one ability is worth taking note of. So if you have any questions, guys, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, a subscribe. Take care.